1, 2. Here we go. What's so special about the EPOS Expand 3T web camera? Well, we've got the goods on it and want to show you why it's an excellent choice for your next Microsoft online meeting on Teams. Roll the intro, maestro. Welcome to another episode of What the Tech. I'm Rolando, the founder of Global Tech Worldwide. We're so glad you joined us today. We had some technical difficulties, as things can happen when you go live. It's just out of our control, but we want to thank you for joining us today. And as always, at this hour, joining me is my fella over there from the New England state. I believe it's the Granite State of New Hampshire, Dave Kelly.
Rolando, great to see you. Yes, we are the Granite State, and we are proud. And some of us are happy that we're going into winter, and some people are crying about it. But hey, listen,
I'm starting to feel it here.
Listen, not going to cry about anything. It's hard enough trying to say EPOS Expand Vision 3T. What a mouthful.
I know, man. Do you know how much practice I've had? And I still goof it up. And hopefully Scott can give us some pointers on how to get that right.
Well, hey, listen, you know what? Microsoft Teams has quickly become the most popular UC collaboration platform on the planet, with over 250 million active subscribers. And you know what? Users are looking for users are looking to up their experience with powerful and easy to use devices. Technology leaders, AV integrators, and Microsoft partners, listen up. But first, why don't we start it off with a real easy true false trivia question?
Go for it.
Ori, what do we got here? True or false? See, he's always throwing words in that he knows are going to be hard for me to pronounce. It's easy to him. The Large Hadron Collider project helped progress video conferencing technology. Rolando, are you familiar with the Large Hadron Collider project?
I believe they're doing some atom smashing or something to do with particles.
Well, you know more about it than I do.
I believe that's what. I think that's a false one, man. That's just I could be wrong about that one, but we'll find out at the end when Ori reveals what the heck that is all about. What the tech is that about?
What the tech is that all about? Ori, I hate you more than I did earlier. Thanks for the impossible for Dave to pronounce words there. Really making me look good out here.
I know, for sure. We'll have to get on him about that. So, Dave, thanks for letting us know about this trivia. So today, we want to tell you, we've got something for all of those folks using Microsoft Teams, and what you need to do when you start using something like the EPOS camera. Now, Dave, as you've probably heard over the years, whether you're an AV guy that's setting up the room, a small business owner, or even a very sophisticated IT operation, the biggest headache is going into the conference room and setting things up and letting people in and use the equipment there. And there's always been somebody dedicated to doing that, but now, as I'm gonna take somebody else's phrase, things have changed. And with the EPOS 3T camera, things have changed dramatically because it's so easy to use, easy to get it going. And once you set it, all of those folks that are gonna be in your conference room can easily access it and use it and be on their way on their Teams meeting.
Absolutely. And listen, you forgot one thing, that it's affordable. You know, it's a very affordable solution. One of the things that I am really enjoying about this particular product is that it's a little bit different, Rolando. A lot of the products, a lot of the devices that we sell at Global Tech and that we promote, they're passive devices. They're headsets, they're speakerphones, they're cameras, but they've always relied on a computer or a cell phone for control. That's right. And what I really like about this particular piece is that I'm going to try to say it, the EPOS Expand Vision 3T It's a standalone system. Really, all it really requires is a good monitor, right? It doesn't
That's
require a
right.
computer or a laptop or a cell
No.
phone. It is essentially a computer itself.
It is. It's an Android-based camera. So basically, think of a smartphone with a souped-up camera, and it's running all the things that you need on it. That's really the way to look at it.
Yeah.
It's a built-in Android system with a really awesome Sony camera. Let me not steal the thunder from the rest of the show because we got some things we want to run through, Dave, and let folks know. So first up, so you want to set up a camera, but before you set it up, maybe you want to know what's in it so that you can find out exactly what parts and pieces are in the box. Ori, are we going to the unboxing? All right. So go ahead and roll. Is this the fast version? All right. You'll really get a kick out of this one. Ori, go ahead and roll the fast version of the unboxing. In this unboxing video, I'm covering the EPOS Expand Vision 3T video collaboration bar. Let's dive right in. And that's been an unboxing of the EPOS Expand Vision 3T video collaboration bar. And all right, Dave, there we go. That was me working overtime super fast.
That's how my kids open up Christmas presents on Christmas morning. 8:59 starts, 9:04 it's done. Everything under the tree done.
Well, you know, that was a lot of fun putting that together. It's got to be, from an unboxing perspective, the biggest unboxing box that we've done so far. Had a ton of pieces, a lot of stuff going on in there. We're going to get Scott here in a moment to jump in and give us some pointers on a few things. But, you know, it wasn't very difficult to set up physically. There's some ports in there to put it in. It didn't take very long. There are some things that you'll want to know as a Microsoft Teams admin that you'll want to have in place. The one thing that I found, and Ori, we're going to show the setup video. We're going to B-roll that, or are we going to talk through it? All right, so let's jump into that, and then we can bring our special guest here in a moment. You know, setting it up wasn't very difficult. You get everything you need in the box, all the cables that are necessary. You're definitely going to want to know a few things that are really key to this. If you're a Teams, or I should say a Microsoft shop, this is just going to make life a lot easier for you in your conference rooms. You'll have an endpoint that you can see on your network, like this camera. You'll be able to control that from the admin center inside of Microsoft Office. And that's where you'll be able, there we go, there's a shot of that. You'll be able to go in and use this and update it. Now, because it is a Microsoft Teams certified device, Dave, that means that as a end user, as an IT administrator, as a small business owner, as an AV integrator, you will get support, or the customer will get support from Microsoft on this. So you'll have the support of Microsoft when you use the EPOS Vision 3T camera. Along with the camera comes a speakerphone that is also certified by Microsoft. Now, the important caveat here is that it is certified by Microsoft when you use the USB-C cable that's attached to it. And that is what allows it to be a complete solution that's certified by Microsoft. And that's something fairly new. And I'm sure Scott can jump into a little bit more on what that means.
Hey, I think it's pretty awesome that you can contact Microsoft for support if necessary for help with setup or any troubleshooting that may arise.
And that's not the case for many products out there. So if you're a Teams shop, again, this is something that should be, if you're planning on budgeting for this year or the following year, you'll want to make sure that's part of your maybe your Christmas stocking. But Dave, you know what we've been hearing from all of our suppliers lately, and that is not to wait to get hardware in the door. Because, you know, the delays with the boats, stuff coming in from China, as well as I just saw a report that says 80,000 trucker shortage in the U.S. right now. We need 80,000 more truckers to move packages, goods, and everything else through this country. Can you believe that?
Listen, there are no excuses this year. You can't wait for consumer goods. You can't wait for the commercial goods. You know, I was trying to find something special for my wife, and I'm thinking I have enough time. I'm going to go order it now. I'm not going to procrastinate like I have in the past. It's not available. It's just some perfume. It's not available. And I have no one to blame but myself. I guess I should have been planning a couple of months ago.
You got to do it,
Can't
Dave,
win.
man. Things are everything. Food. I saw something about a food. I think it was in Idaho. A whole school system will not have all of the lunches that they've bought because they're being delivered by boats. I don't know from what country, but essentially coming on boats, and all the ports are essentially full. Now let's go back into and talk about more about setting this thing up, because that's usually where people get, you know, a little bit tripped up. There's a lot going on there, and in order to help our audience understand how to get the most out of this device, how to set it properly, how to make sure that you're getting on the road, so to speak, if we use that terminology, with this device, the EPOS, I'm going to take a stab at it, Dave, the whole thing, EPOS Expand Vision, thank you for the Q, Ori, EPOS Expand Vision 3T. Can we just call it the ET, the ET, the E3T? I don't know.
You're not doing it justice, man. We'll get there.
We'll ask Scott if we can abbreviate that a little bit, or maybe we'll ask him to say that 3 times fast and see if he can do it. So coming online right now out of the green room is Scott Houston. Overall, great guy. He is the man at EPOS when it comes to all things technical. He knows his stuff. He's an industry expert when it comes to hands-free devices, video conferencing equipment, and everything else that you would want to know from an endpoint device in your enterprise. So let's bring out of the green room our colleague and friend, Scott Houston.
Thank you, guys.
How are you?
You're too kind. I'm doing great.
Where are you joining us from today, Scott?
Joining you from the offices where we work with the Large Hadron Collider to get all of the inner workings of the EPOS Expand Vision 3T.
Oh my God!
You know, it's premium platform here, right? So.
It is. Well, you know, indeed. So you guys, it seems like they let engineers go running wild when they put this name together. What's up with that? Help us there.
Well, we're changing, right? So remember a while back we spoke kind of about the brand change, and when we separated from the Sennheiser group, and you know, throughout this is kind of the beginning phases of also kind of the product renaming or the restructuring of how the products are categorized and naming conventions. So a lot of things we don't necessarily we'll say the expand part all the time. We typically will just say the Vision 3T or what will become the Vision category as time goes on, going into other products that'll fit in there. But expand is more of the larger umbrella of category of products. So everything dealing with speakerphones or kind of meeting or collaboration devices will fall under the expand category. Headsets will have the adapt category as well as the impact category. So it's more of just a category naming, but typically we could just say the Vision 3T.
Okay, Vision 3T.
If that makes it easier for you guys.
Of
we
course
could
it
add
does,
a couple
man.
more to it if you want.
We have approval. We have approval.
Yes, so why not? Shorter is better in this case. I'm telling you, I was choking on saying it all throughout our rehearsal just now, but this really clears up. The Vision 3T by EPOS. I can do that.
Perfect.
All right. So, Scott, thanks for joining us today. We want your expertise today because as more organizations, as Dave said, 250 million active users on Teams today, and that is growing as Microsoft is in full marketing mode on Teams down to the consumer level now. So we anticipate more organizations, and we're seeing this just buying more equipment to outfit conference rooms, upgrading conference rooms as they get their migrations to Teams complete or anticipation of a Teams rollout. So we wanted to have you to help us out as our audience that is going to buy this may not have seen this before. The video line is something new to EPOS as well, but it is Microsoft certified. So talk a little bit about that certification and what that means to somebody that's purchasing this product.
Sure. And the certification is kind of happens in two different ways for it, right? So the device itself, as you mentioned, there is a computer built in, which is great because, again, you're not, the requirements to bring other devices into the meeting room is no longer there. We don't have to walk in with a laptop or another device and make sure we have the right cable connected to that webcam in the room to connect it to your laptop, and other frustrations that a user might have when they're not kind of technically savvy to troubleshoot a lot of those things. So that's kind of the first point there. But what happens is with that Android platform, you have Teams running natively on it. So the entire interface, everything you experience on there is a Teams landscape, everything from the purple background, everything is trademarked, that Teams design is the entire functionality and interface to it, therefore making it somewhat a Microsoft device on the inside. The outside, the shell of it, the ports, the hardware of it, that's owned by EPOS. So it's a good partnership there, along with having the input and output supplied to kind of bring it back home as a fully certified device, is why we include the Expand 30T speakerphone within that device too. So that this way Microsoft has a sticker on the speakerphone saying this is an approved input and output device when used with the Vision 3T. Again, in the wired scenario, as you mentioned previously too.
Right. And so bottom line is, if you're a user of Microsoft Teams or your organization is a Microsoft shop and you're really into Teams, this is really the way to go. It's essentially hitting the easy button on a whole lot of stuff, Scott.
Yeah, and a great term for it, because joining a meeting is the easiest part about it. So once you have everything set up, there's a button on the remote control or on the speakerphone, the Teams button. And by pressing that, you'll instantly join that next meeting that's lined up in the calendar.
So that Teams button does more than just bring the Teams interface to the forefront of the screen. It has true functionality there.
It does, and especially for joining. So you walk in and again, from either scenario, or even if there's some form of other control component within the room, other infrastructure that might be in there would also have that ability too. But here we're making it, again, even more easy on that setup and usage to just hit one button and ready to go.
Well, I've got the remote here in my hand, or if you want to take in a shot of that, there we go. So it is a very straightforward remote control. So if you're into remote controls, it's really cool. And one of the things that I found interesting in using this the last week was it's got almost like a floating pointer. So you can point, you can use it as you have a virtual keyboard essentially on here, and you have the ability from the remote control to end the communication. So you can just end the meeting or what the camera is seeing, and you can also turn it off. So couple of cool things right on this remote. Not too many buttons, so that unlike I got another remote here. You got a bunch of, and when you compare this guy, and that's a TV remote versus this, it's really simple, very straightforward.
So Volando, what did you call that? You called it like a floating cursor, so kind of like a Wii remote, just kind of
Yes,
you can just wave it and you can point.
Yes,
that's good, because I'm telling you, I've seen controllers where you're trying to manipulate a digital keyboard interface with just without that feature, where you just kind of left and right on the pointers on your controller to try to get to the letters, and it's near impossible to do. It just takes forever. So that's a nice feature.
Yeah, and then we're just showing some footage here of the setup, which it wasn't very difficult. I can't say I'm a full-on AV nerd. That's not my trade, but I was able to get it set up, put all of the hookup together, hook it up to my monitor, and off to the races. I think for the newbies that are not familiar with Microsoft Teams, Scott, we could just talk about some of the things, some of the challenges. If you're new to Microsoft Teams, because I suspect that larger and mid-sized organizations that have been using Teams for quite some time will find this as easy, if not easier, than I found it to set up. Let's talk about some of the challenges that somebody that is a new user to Teams may face and may need to get some things done prior to installing this equipment.
Yeah, and the nice thing is the challenges that we've seen happen since it's been shipping and becoming accepted a lot more into many organizations. It's not coming from the device itself. A lot of times, the people I'm dealing with as an IT manager, in some ways, they're dealing more in the audio product, right? Or the product itself. They're rolling out and distributing headsets, or setting up things in the room. But everything happening on the back end, because we're dealing with a Teams device. So the Teams platform itself, within the Teams admin center, you're going to have certain permissions. The same way you would handle a license for a user or an employee within the organization, this device is going to act very similarly. You'll have either logging in as a personal login, for if I was logging in as myself through my organization, or as a room resource, which would be more common, right? So conference room A at companyx.com. But the company itself may have certain security protocols in place, certain permissions, allowances within the Teams admin center that the other IT guys, when they're dealing with headsets and other stuff, they never see that. They don't know. And in a lot of cases, it even exists. In some cases, it's even managed off-site by a third party, by Microsoft themselves or somebody else. So if you're not that person who handles your Teams admin center, you're going to want to know who that is, right? Bring them a cup of coffee, make friends. It'll make that setup of it much easier and quicker. And at the same time, you're going to kind of learn a little bit about what certain security protocols might be in place. Does your organization approve of Android-based devices within there? And if they do, or if they don't, rather, it's now you're going to go through a certain line of testing on the device. There might be materials, white papers, things like that we can help source, or try to help you through it as much as we can. But kind of when you get to this phase, like you're showing on the screen here, that's going to be okay. Yep, we're everything's all good with this. We're wired in, it's logged in appropriately, and then you kind of click okay, go, and you should be all set. In some organizations, we've also found kind of a funny story that within our own organization, because we're owned by a larger group, and our IT is separate. We don't have an in-house guy for me in Connecticut here that I can go to for it. So it took some communication and time in order for us to make sure everything was all set. But we also learned that we wanted to expand our device count per user. So, we found out we were limited, that I can only sign on to 4 devices within Teams.
That was was essentially your own internal policy at the company.
Yeah. And because we have never been in this situation before, we didn't really know what to look for. Right. So it was a lot of discovery. And then in the end, it's taking that information and the obstacles that we had to overcome and bringing that and being very transparent and very forward facing with the customers on, this isn't, kind of a hiccup. This is kind of a standard thing. We found out a lot of companies deal with this. So it's just always good to know and have in the back of your mind. And because it's also a Microsoft device, it's difficult for us to support that. We don't have access to, your company's Teams admin to really see, the health of it or push out updates. All that's happening back there, especially with the updates part, which is very important. And Microsoft has already pushed out, I believe, 3 updates for this device since April, where we're changing the looks of it. The calendar setup has changed a little bit,
right? And that's what I encountered when I hooked this up. It pushed out the update. It said, hey, what you were just looking at there, this already has an update available, and it changed the whole look. The interface was actually much better than the previous firmware that was on there. And so what you're saying is those updates are all handled by Microsoft on the back end, and then you could schedule to run that automatically or manually.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, and running it automatically is nice, right? And so this way, again, it's one less thing for someone to worry about, is this up to date? And, and that it becomes very important. And will also be important on how that's handled with non-Teams devices like this as well in the future.
Right. Well, talk a little bit. I know that you guys have, I know this is a Teams discussion, but if for some reason we have folks that are out there saying, well, I'm on Zoom and I'm on some other platform like Google Meet. I know you guys have another version of this slated for early next year, right?
Yep. So in Q1 of next year, we will be releasing a UC version of the Vision 3, where it'll be a SIP-based device. So you're able to put on any platform that your organization would be using, be it Zoom, WebEx, BlueJeans, whatever you would like on there. And that will be an EPOS interface and also managed and updated through EPOS Connect and EPOS Manager going forward for that. So we would kind of be able to see it and view it as if it were a headset, especially using our asset management system, EPOS Manager, to push out updates. Again, not to be disruptive to any kind of work that's going on, but we'll be able to help there. But because we know that there are also a large population of non-Teams users, so we want to make sure that we're also capturing that audience and providing the same premium experience with these devices.
Right, Dave. Did you want to ask Scott something?
Yeah, with Microsoft Teams Rooms. So with setup on that support can obviously come from Microsoft. You were mentioning knowing the admin, so it's kind of like a pro tip.
Oh yeah, let's roll that. Let's go with a pro tip. That's a good one right there. Hey Ori, give us a pro tip. Pro tip.
So the pro tip that you mentioned was know who you're at, know your Microsoft admin, introduce yourself, grab them some coffee, maybe a beer after hours, something like that, so that they're there to help support you.
That's right. We want to make it's always good to know who that is, and overall, I mean, in general, you kind of want to know who's going to be helping you with these devices going forward, right? We want to have that rapport, and I try to make it a point when I'm dealing with certain people. It's, if you don't know who that is, go meet them and introduce me as well. So, we can all kind of work together this way. EPOS as a brand is helping you, with the overall solution, and we can help, fill in any voids and gaps to make sure everyone has a very pleasant experience when using this.
And that was my experience so far with the device. It's really easy to use once you get it all lined up. And if you are, I just want to say this before we move on, if you are enjoying this content and you find it helpful, I want to remind you to go ahead and bump the like button, and so that we could bring this message of this device as well as this experience of using Microsoft Teams to more people like yourself. So go ahead and do that. That'll help us out. So we were just talking about the device, using admins to help us out. If you're not an admin yourself and maybe you're the one installing this in a conference room, you'll need somebody that has admin access on the Microsoft side within your organization to make that process very smooth. Now, once you get that going, Scott, and you get that in there. I think we have some footage of a little bit of a conversation that we were having earlier about this, so that folks could see what it's like with using this device. So why don't you go ahead and roll that, Ori? So this was a little bit earlier. Oh, and that's
All right.
caught me slurping on a smoothie.
Scott, so thanks for joining me today. I'm glad that we could get together, see each other face to face. And it's awesome using this system, that we can just chat and meet, and we're on Teams and everything's working just fine. Everything's cool on your end?
It's great. It's nice to be in the office and put these tools to use.
All right, cool. Well, I'm having a hard time. Let me grab a sip of my tea here to clear out my throat here. That way, it's still a little too hot. All right. Well, I think that's all we're gonna need for right now. I think I can see you well. You can see me well. This is working out just fine. And so let's roll it back to the rest of the team in the studio.
All right. And did you see that at the very end, you started moving a little bit and drifting, and I think the AI that was built in kicked in into the camera. And why don't you talk a little bit about that? So let's talk about feature. Let's talk about features and specs on this thing, as some folks might wonder, okay, so what am I getting here, Scott? There's so many other devices. There's other things on the market. Some of them are Microsoft already certified. What are we getting here with the Vision 3T camera?
Yep. So the camera itself, it's a 4K Sony sensor lens. It operates with a field of view at about 112 degrees. So smaller meeting rooms, nothing too big. We want to say, probably upwards of 10 people. That's probably being a little conservative, 12, 15. And the room that we have it in that you saw before, that's more of a mid-size room. It's about 15 by 25 long, which also is in need of some acoustic treatment, as we heard by. And that's still kind of, as we're starting our return to the office, these are the things that now we have these fun tools. How do we now make the room work for us a little bit better too? We've never had prior to the pandemic, it was just we didn't have anything in there, along with other cool devices too.
And
so,
I want to say, you said something, but I want to just echo something about the room and the ideal type of users. What's the ideal user look like for this? Is this something, they're going to see on every cubicle? You're just going to see it in small rooms, large rooms, medium rooms. Where is the sweet spot for this device?
Here would be more on the small rooms, huddle spaces, where you might have anywhere from 2 to 10 people in there. Okay. I always think about our old office. We used to have rows of small, kind of the round tables where you might have 6 people in there at any given time with a monitor up on the screen. Something along those lines would be the most used, where a lot of times you have no video presence at all. You might just have a speakerphone on there, or the old, kind of wired conference phones that might be on there.
Is that still prevalent, by the way? Do you run into a bunch of rooms that are still no video? There's just maybe a literal phone acting as a conference phone?
Well, I think there's so many companies that are kind of in that transition. They want to provide video. Video is a hot topic, right? Especially now with this return, it's, hey, we have all this space. A lot of times we're not going to have everyone back here in the office, but we still want to be able to collaborate. We want to see people. We want to understand body language. We, add a little more context to that conversation that you're not going to get over just a voice call or, emails and text messaging, right?
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
So I think when people look at those rooms and they'll go, what can we do to make this better? But they don't want to spend 10 grand a room, and have all these devices or other points of possible failure, for someone to walk in and say, I have this laptop, my laptop doesn't have a USB-A connection. How am I supposed to do this? Where's the adapter? And the adapter is gone. Or, those kinds of things that are frustrating, especially if you're on the dot of when that meeting's supposed to start. And now you have to, quickly try to troubleshoot, which, an average person in their non-IT related would have trouble with.
Yeah.
Right.
This alleviates all of that.
And I found, go ahead, Dave. Go ahead, Dave.
So we have customers that come to us and they use Microsoft Teams, and they're asking us, what are the pros? What are the benefits of using a product like this that are designed specifically for Teams versus a camera that can be used with really any platform? So can you tell the audience what are the benefits of having that Teams certification, that Teams approval on here?
Yeah, I mean, for that, it's, you take away a lot of those failure points of, connecting, microphone setup, speaker setup, because, essentially this would be an all-in-one. Even if you didn't use the 30T speakerphone that it comes with, and just using the TV output speakers and the built-in microphones of the device. Another feature to it beyond the camera. So we do have built-in microphones for those rooms where you may not have a cable run to connect that USB-C cable. So again, it's kind of that ease of use, quick setup, and the one button. If, as a room resource, right? So conference room A, conference room B, whatever it would be set up as, you're inviting that into your meeting, especially if it's kind of within the organization, right? So, if we're all, working for the same company and we speak to each other, we're going to speak to each other on Teams. That's all of those subscribers. So that makes it easy to join. You're familiar with the layout of it and the user interface as a Teams user. So there, a lot of those frustrations from trying to do other things with it can go away. However, there's also a lot of need for, you need to join an external Zoom meeting or a WebEx meeting, something like that. That is something that, we believe that Microsoft will address at some point, the ability to take a Teams device like this, or at least Teams on Android device, and join an external meeting of some sorts. That's already possible now on Windows devices. So we know that eventually it will carry over, so that you don't have to, you may not have to wait to get the UC version of it, which would also do, the same thing, just natively, as opposed to saying, okay, even though this is all Teams, 90% of what we do is on Teams, but here I need to join a Zoom, I can join a Zoom too.
Well, that's awesome. And one of the things that you've mentioned on there, and I want to circle back on, because if you're an installer or an AV guy or some IT person, and you're going to go ahead and hook this up in a conference room, you don't necessarily need to run new cables into the conference room, because this appliance, this Vision 3T, is Wi-Fi enabled. So you can use the Wi-Fi on it. Right now I've got mine over here on top of my second monitor, and I've got it connected over Wi-Fi, and it works just fine. So if you're looking to add something like this into your conference room and you're like, oh, I don't want to do any new Ethernet cable drops into the conference room, you don't have to do that. You have a perfectly good, oh, there we go. Ori's sitting right here, and you see this big blue screen. That's the Microsoft Teams calendar and whatnot right now, and it's connected over Wi-Fi. So I didn't have to run any new cables to have this connected over the internet, which is quite awesome. If you don't have to run cables, boy, you save yourself, and depending on the room, probably an entire day or two of doing a cable drop and putting it into the room.
And I'm sure your facilities folks will be happy that they don't have to climb around in the ceilings either.
Yeah.
You got that right, Dave. Exactly. So that's I will just say that's freaking awesome. It's a small thing, but if you're the guy or the gal that's doing the install, and you can save, a day or half a day or 2 days even of installing, why not? Right? I want to go by, and you'd mentioned something about this particular solution, that you include the speakerphone along with the cameras we're showing there. I think that is at the price point, it's MSRP around $1,500. For what you're getting here, a Team certified device, you're getting a built-in, essentially a very high-end smartphone camera, essentially, and you're getting a very good quality speakerphone at that price point. you'll find other products that just the camera alone, and you throw in you throw in the computer or the touch panel, and then you throw in a speakerphone. You're talking well over $2,000, if not closer to $3,000.
Yeah, and they are right in that sweet spot for the cost. A ton of bang for your buck with this particular solution.
I think you guys went aggressive with this one, Scott, at this price point, and what you guys are throwing in. Almost everything, almost the whole kitchen sink, really.
Yeah. And it's a great starting point for what you guys will see from us, in the next few months too.
Oh. Do we have more toys we can play with? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, I can't wait. I love it. More toys. I love it. Well, you got to put us on the top of the list, man. We're not taking backseat to other folks. We won't mention who those people are, but you got to put us at the top of the list, Scott.
We'll get you taken care of. No worries.
All right. Hey, Dave, did you have anything else you wanted to ask Scott before we move on?
Not quite, not yet. Honestly, I haven't had my hands on the product yet. I think there's one coming my way. I learned a lot about this just over the past week. Again, slightly different from some of the products that are very popular. Passive webcams, passive headsets, passive speakerphones. The fact that this thing's all built into one, you really just need a good monitor and you're off to the races.
That's pretty much it. It's not a lot to it. I think, like you said, Scott, if you're on the Microsoft side and you're new, you may need a little bit of hand holding. But if you're a well-oiled enterprise and you've got your Microsoft Teams thing down, it's just a matter of knowing where to look. You're going to look in the admin center, look for the endpoint, enable it, boom, bada bing, bada boom. You're off to the races. But other than that, as an installer, like I said, I've found it very, very, very easy. So, Scott, thank you for joining us today, providing the voice of expertise that we needed today and for our audience on this device. Anything else you want to say or share with us?
No, my pleasure, guys. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you for checking it out, and look forward to talking again very soon.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you, Scott. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Scott.
Take care.
All right. That was Scott. Scott the engineer from EPOS. Oh, yeah. Okay. So let's do it before we let him go. Let's see if he knows the answer. He says he's checking in from the Hedron Collision Center in Hedron Collision Center somewhere underground, maybe 10 miles below ground. So let's pose the question to it. Is it true or false that this Collider project helped progress video conferencing technology?
I would say with a project like that needed so much collaboration and teamwork, and someone probably pressured others into helping them out and developing something better, I'm going to say true.
Oh, yeah? I'm going to say false. I'm going to go against the grain here. What do you say, Dave?
I'm going to say true because I don't know what this project was.
All right, Ori, let us see what's going on. Oh, I have egg on my face. It is true. That's why he's an engineer and I'm not. The researchers at Caltech developed video conferencing technology called Virtual Room Video Conferencing System, VRVS to be short, to help scientists communicate and collaborate on the Large Collider project. It was a huge hit. All right, there you go. That's why he's an engineer.
I like the play on words there. It was a huge hit for a collider.
So was the bonus question, what were the years that this project was taking place?
Oh.
Well, our
2002.
98 to 2008 is how long that project went on for.
Wow.
Scott
You're right in the middle.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Scott, there we go. That's why we needed him to come break that down too. So thanks for checking in from the Collision project.
My pleasure. I got to get back to work.
Okay. Yeah. Get to it.
All right.
Thanks, Scott.
All right. Thanks again, guys. Take care.
All righty. So that was Scott. Scott, the engineer. Wonderful to have him on again. He's now tied with Sam for most appearances. So he's at the top spot. So hopefully he keeps us in mind as being top spot as well.
So Rolando, to summarize, what are what's the most important takeaway from this particular setup? I don't even think I want to call it a device. I want to call it a solution. What's summarize this solution for the viewers?
So here you go. If you are a Microsoft, let me try that again. If you are a Microsoft Teams user, or your organization is already on that platform, you're going to find that this enables easier collaboration from those conference rooms. You can bring in your laptop, you can bring in your devices, no need to hook anything up to those computers or laptops. This is a smartphone on steroids, and it's got a Sony camera sensor built in, so you get clear video in that conference room. You hit the easy button with the fact that because you can bring in your own device and connect to Teams, and it's got everything you need. It's got a speakerphone. It's got everything included, all the cables. You can use your Wi-Fi if you don't want to do cable runs. And it comes with a remote control, Dave. That's what I love about this part. It comes with a very simple remote control with only a few buttons. So it minimizes the need for, or minimizes confusion or frustration that a lot of folks have around a conference room, Dave. The angst of going in, I've got my laptop, I got to call Joe the engineer to come set it. No need for that. Zero need for that. You turn on you can press the power button if it's off, and boom, on your way with one click of a button, you're online and talking to your colleagues or customers through Microsoft Teams.
Awesome. Love the product. Looking forward to see how this product advances, and of course for their upcoming release of Q1 of next year, which will be the UC variant of this video collaboration bar. That's a mouthful.
Now that's a mouthful. The video collaboration bar. So if you've been watching all the way to the end on this live, or even during the playback, we want to thank you for joining us today on this episode. And if you have comments and suggestions and want to see something featured in an upcoming segment, let us know. Drop us a line, bump the like button, because all these platforms will spread out this video to other people that need to see this, and you'll help us out by hitting that like button. Dave and I are also going to join you in some additional videos, helpful, so that if you want more tips, tricks on how to get going on other solutions, in this case we have Scott joining us in another episode, as well as additional reviews right on your screen. You're checking us out, and we'll meet you inside those videos.